Hello and welcome to Sunday's edition of Wardy's Waffle. Just before we get going and I tell you what's in this update, I just wanted to wish my good friend Olly Harrison all the best and good luck for the Combine Challenge, driving from John O'Groats to Land's End. Wish him all the best. I'm going to put the links in the description here for those of you who want to contribute. He's doing it in aid of Mind, the mental health charity, and also just raising awareness for mental health and just supporting a really good cause. And another one of the drivers, Martin Williams, I know really well, so good luck both of you. I don't know the other two guys who are taking part, but all of you, wish you all the best. And could I just say, there's one or two people I've seen on Twitter having a go at Olly about the run and about all the fuel it's using. Just give it a rest. He's using hydrated vegetable oil, but he's bringing fantastic awareness to mental health and also raising a lot of money for a really worthwhile cause. So please just give it a rest. It's not necessary and not needed. Anyway, also just before I get into this update, you've seen the heap of tarmac planings that we've had down at the farm. We are going to put them out on the roads, but I'm trying to find a type of box grader that's about 3.5 meters wide that we can tip the planings into and set a depth and maybe on hydraulic adjustment and put the planings on one width rather than have a box grader like 2 meters wide and have to do it twice. So if anybody knows where I can hire one from or get one of these box graders that can tip planings in, hold a few tons and keep tipping it in and pull it with another tractor, please let me know. Anyway, this week's update, I'm going to look a little bit at sugar beet. You see this field behind me here. I touched on this in last week's update. This is up on the heath on a light land, and also loading out oats. We've had a lot of our naked oats, the variety Oliver, go out this week. They're the ones that go into animal and pet food. And also I've picked up our Blackgrass welfare trailer, which is the trailer we made 2 or 3 years ago to help our Blackgrass pullers have a bit of creature comforts and a bit of normality when they're doing a really difficult job. So I look at that in a bit of detail, and also generally we'll look around all our spring crops, the spring oats, the barley and beans as well, and give you a bit of an update on that. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoy it. Please click like and subscribe. Remember, it doesn't cost you anything if you subscribe, and please do ask me some questions and comment. I always enjoy seeing the questions and commenting and replying to you, so please keep those coming. And hopefully if you meet it, or if you see, and hopefully if you make it to the end, we'll see you then. I'm stood in one of our sugar beet fields on the light land. You can see it's looking quite well at the minute. This was planted, I think it was the 9th of April, and it was a bit tacky when it was done, but obviously it was because it's on the light land, we could get on and do it. And the rest of our sugar beet wasn't done until early May on the heavy land. But they're looking quite good here, and we've just sprayed this because there was quite a few broadleaf weeds coming in it, and this is the third herbicide it's had. So looking down the row, we have a saying here that if the crop meets in the row by Lincolnshire show, or that's the date when we normally like to see it meeting in the row. Well, Lincolnshire shows the 21st and 22nd of June, and it's not going to meet in the row by then, I don't think, unless we get some rain soon. You can see they are just struggling a little bit, but little bit of yellowing and things on the leaves, but generally the plant's looking quite good. You can see the sewage sludge that's there, the darker spots. A lot of it's been worked in, there's odd bits still sticking out, but these are the broadleaf weeds we've got kicking around. I will just show you as well the drill that we use, the machine, the planter that puts it in, linked to GPS. This is the beauty of this machine. If you look down here, it shows it beautifully. So around the outside, these are the rows here that are parallel to that hedge, so they're all drilled. So he goes around the field with the drill, 18 row drill, so it's probably 3 times around the field to start with. And then if you look there, when you're coming up the field, because the GPS and the electronics on the machine knows that that row there has been seeded, that when you're then coming up through here, it doesn't put rows into here. So this row there won't start actually seed coming out until it gets to there, even though the drill's 18 rows wide. Obviously the squareness of the drill, it would overlap and plant rows. You can see here, so 18 rows, so all those up there, all those rows at that angle would normally have come through to where we're stood here, so they'd all come in the line down here, but the GPS doesn't allow that to happen. So it saves on seed, and it means you haven't got double drilling, which then causes a few issues at lifting. Really impressive. We're loading our oats at the minute, and that's the naked oats. These are the ones that we predominantly go for pet food. We've had, I think, 5 or 6 loads of our own today, and you saw, this week, and you saw in my video last Wednesday of the contract farm, one of our contract farms, William loading his own with his Matt Bro teleshift. And always amazes me with drivers now. This one's only just got out his cab because it's the last bucket I need. And you can see I've got it heaped up a bit at the front and the back, but these oats are always light. And I need 1 more ton on. And I don't know what it is with drivers today. They don't sweep up. They don't help you sort of to load or tell you whether they want some more front or back. And this one, typical one now, just sits in his cab until the last amount. We keep these at our other farm where Rhonda and I live. Just that when you're combining oats, it's not a very fast job in tons an hour. And so it's good to bring it up here, a few miles away, but it's good to bring it up here, and it just makes use of this shed. So this shed's quite handy. It's a good tall shed. We've got 2 ventilating ducts underneath, and we've got those coupled to fans out the back. There's one there, and there's another one down just under there, through there. And it just would keep these oats low, because oats are sometimes a job to get the air flow through them, so we don't push them up very high. Yeah, so this is what I was just on about, that one time a day you'd have a lorry driver, as you're loading his lorry, being here sweeping up, cleaning up, just making sure you don't run on anything. I know it's dry at the minute, but you still crush this so it's something that we don't see very often today. Lorry drivers actually getting out the cab when you're loading them. I'm just going to bring our Blackgrass welfare trailer down to the farm, because we're starting pulling Blackgrass next week. This is this one. This is just Bailey's exhibition trailer they have at the show. It was stored for them over the winter. So yeah, this is our welfare trailer. I'll just get it out and just have a quick look at it. I'm actually going to move it with the front, because you can see through there they are very close together. There's not much of a gap through there, and I'm on my own, so nobody to watch me. So he's got to watch up there. Now we're okay. Just easy with the front steering it with the front of the motor. There we go. That's it. Really handy, these little sheds. I know they're not much use for putting grain and things in, but for storing trailers and machinery in, they're really good. See, there's not a lot of height room there. There we go. That's it. That's got it moved out. I'll just turn around now and put it on the hook at the back. So this is it. We've got Portalo we bought second hand, put on the front. We've got to fold down steps. These fold up and down for transport. And it was just serviced yesterday. Got a local company from Boston come and service it. Kind of clean water there if we need some in here for the basin. But yeah, just works really well. But it's an old shooting trailer we bought from Ellis Machinery. Obviously it's a converted like 7.5 ton lorry when you look at it. And we bought it from them as a shooting trailer. We've put all these steps on the back. This is about 2 years ago we did this. All these steps on the back, filled all the back in, and put a door out the house that we knocked down. It's all demolished. Put a door in there, and then we've got a load of seats from the coaches that park in our yard. One of them was dismantled 2 years ago, so we've got a load of seats in it, little tables between each one. Got waterproof trousers there for everybody, and then it just gives them somewhere to get out the weather if the weather's not very good, and sit down and just keep out, and just look after them really, because it's hard work, Blackgrass pulling. They do a cracking job. Here, got a water container here that's in an insulated compartment. I'll just show you inside here. So in there's it's all insulated where the water container is to keep cold water, because sometimes it's quite hot when they're doing this job. So yeah, just a useful trailer to look after everybody, because the blackgrass pulling is not an easy job. I'm in one of our contract farming fields, and this has been continuous wheat for about 6 years, I think. And this was one of the group that we didn't plant until November the 11th this year. And it went in really well, but you can just see here there are quite a few bare and thin patches here. But there's also some blackgrass, which I'm disappointed with, because the last few years we've had nothing seed in here. But it just shows it's a problem year this year, but it just also shows how the seed stays in the ground. And even though this field wasn't planted until November the 11th, there's still quite a lot coming it, because normally delayed drilling and glyphosate before you drill, and delayed drilling as late as that would normally have a big effect on it. You can see here this headland's not very good. Down here, the edge of this field, you can see there's some ruts there from the sprayer, so it's been really wet, this headland. And we put on here 550 seeds a square metre. So I can't just quite remember the seed rate, but it was somewhere in the region of 250 kilograms a hectare. So quite a lot of seed November the 11th, but it just shows probably only got 50% germination. But when I sort of kneel down level with the crop, you can see here blackgrass waving. You can see there as well, quite a lot of it. So I'm going to have to come and spray this bit off, because there's just a bit too much here to hand pull this. But it needs doing in the next day or two, because you can see it's flowering, and once the flowers have gone and the seeds are set, then the seeds are viable. So we're all right at the minute, so it does want doing. A few cleavers here as well. This weed come up in the crop, really sticky weed, and that makes that's awfully difficult at harvest time, so Roundup will control that as well. So yeah, and this need to come in here and drive up and down every tram line, because it's splattered about the field here, and just see it waving about. So I need to drive up and down every tram line just to switch on and off, and need to spray these patches off. Thought I'd show you one or two of the spring crops. You haven't seen those since they were just coming through the ground. These are beans, and these were drilled, put in the ground, I think April the 21st. And this is the field. This is the biggest field that we farm. It's 67, 70 acres. This is on Williams, one of our contract farms, and mixture of soil, lovely soil this end of the field. Quite a heavy band of clay soil that end. Planted 21st of April, so quite late, but because of the benefit to the following wheat crop, we still carried on putting the beans in. So it's a real unknown when we're going to harvest these beans and what they're going to yield like. So I think there will be late harvest end of September, and also lowish yielding, but the following wheat crop yields better after beans than any other crop, and it's also cheaper to grow, because beans leave nitrogen, because beans they pull nitrogen out of the atmosphere, and then they put it into the plant, and then the nodules on the bottom of the roots, I don't know whether I can pull one up. No, they're snapping off. The nodules on the roots, no, they've snapped off here. I need a spade to dig it out. The nodules on the roots are where it lets them, where it releases the nitrogen into the soil, which means you don't need to put so much nitrogen on the following wheat crop. Because it was put into stubble, it was wetter underneath than the land that was cultivated, because this land sort of didn't breathe. It hadn't got any air in it, whereas the other land that was cultivated had. I think there was 60 seeds a square metre put on here, because we upped the seed rate because it was later. Got a bit of downy mildew coming in the plant. You can just see that leaf there, that colour, and those two leaves there on that plant. You can see some sort of staining. That's mildew. We need to deal with that soon. And so that's these beans straight after stubble. And compare them just across the other side of this road with a 7 hectare field, so a lot smaller than the one we're just walking out of. This is again another one of our contract farms fields. This belongs to someone else, and this was soloed last autumn and then drilled with the free flow. You can see there's a lot more volunteers here. We've got some volunteer wheat and things here growing, so we are going to come in here in the next day or two to spray these and take these out. It's still open enough to control it, but a few gaps here, but the beans are taller, definitely a bit taller than the other field. That big leafy grassweed there is a wild oat. We'll just pull that there. but the spray we're going to put on for the volunteer wheat, we'll take those out. We call it volunteer because it's what the combine has shed out the back, little chippings and things last harvest, and virtually everything grows when you don't want it to. Bit more there down in mood, you can just see on that leaf there. So we need to get in here, but yeah, these crops definitely taller, definitely more vigorous because it was cultivated. But we'll see what the difference in yield is between this one and that field just through there. And just for comparison, this field was actually drilled the same day as that other one, so it's going to be really interesting at harvest time to see what the difference is. So you can see what a crop of beans would normally look like when they're planted in the normal period, which is end of February, early March. I've just come into one of my neighbour's fields, and this field was planted towards the end of February, and you can just see the difference in height when you look at it here. Huge difference. Also, I'll just turn the camera around and you can just see the benefits of putting it in 2 months earlier. There we go. This crop is at least 3 feet tall, maybe a bit more. We've got a lot of flowers on it already coming here, which those flowers, all those will turn into pods. And you can just see down in the ground here the height of these. I mean, it's difficult for me to put a height on, but you can just see looking at them here. Yeah, they are about 3.5 feet tall, full of flowers, which will turn into pods there, which is just great. And the beans have a lovely smell to them when they're coming into flower. So it'll be interesting just to see what this yields compared to ours. This is drilled in your normal time, and but we didn't get ours in. It was just a bit too wet, I thought, underneath. But in hindsight, we maybe should have pushed them, because I think these will obviously yield better. I've now come into a field of oats. These were planted around the end of April, early May. Again, really late. Got a heap of sewage sludge there that's been there since last year, and it's been moved because you're not allowed to keep sludge in the same place. It's been slightly moved. It was the other side of that heap, and that's going to be spread on after this crop. But you can just see here, this was stubble as well and direct drilled. It had nitrogen on, these oats did, with some glyphosate on the stubble, so our drill mixed it in, which normally always helps. And they just look like they're struggling, these oats do. Just look through here, you can just see this yellow band through here. They don't really like that, they're not growing that well through the middle there. You can just see, look a bit sparse and thin. But then, so we've got that field there, and then just literally across here, we've got another field which looks a bit different, because this one was soloed last autumn, sprayed with glyphosate before we planted it, and it did go really well. This is a little clip of that, of it being planted. See a bit of dust going, so it was drying nicer when we did it. But when you look here, just far more even crop, more vigorous, and when you look across the field, just generally looks better. The extra cost with cultivations here will, I think, give us more yield that will pay for the extra cultivation we had here in the autumn. So we'll keep a check on this and see, but generally these oats, this is a headland. You can see the edge of the field, we get great germination because we plant these last. I'm now in the field that we had late lifted sugar beet, quite heavyish, sticky soil. We dragged it with the RX on the frost and only planted this first few days in May. And you can see it's come really well. It's just starting to suffer a little bit now. These light patches just starting to suffer through lack of moisture. It really wants a good drink. We're putting its first fungicide on. We're putting a fungicide on, a growth regulator, and also a bit of a trace element mix. See there, some of the leaves glistening. That's these products we're just putting on. So it shows we've got good leaf coverage. Some of you saw our sprayer, the new sprayer at the Suffolk show this last week. Just see this boom's not brilliant. The new one hopefully will be a lot better. But yeah, so we're getting a new one hopefully in the next couple of weeks. But at the minute, we've still got some of the John Deere software that's going in. It is in Denmark, being matched up to the Housem software. There's a company called Lycotronic that supplies the software for Housem sprayers, and it's just making sure that it all talks to each other. Anyway, Unbelievable how this barley looks, considering what the field looked like in the winter time. You can't believe how it's dried up. This is the area just here that Tom nearly got stuck with the drill when he filled up, backed up to the lane. But just look how dry it's gone now. It's absolutely like concrete. You can see it's just dried out completely. You look at lumps like this that just can't even, look at that. A little bit of moist you can just see there in the dark there, but the whole lot there just broken apart. Just look at that, how dry that is. We'll drop that. There, you can just see how dry it is now. It really is just so solid. There. And we are going to get the solo in here and riff this up, level it out, and loosen it underneath, and that's why it was wet, because it was compacted from the beet harvester and the trailers bringing sugar beet off. But we're going to level it off and get the solo on the RX probably the next couple of weeks, hopefully. Maybe plant a cover crop on here as well. Ruben's just gone in another barley field over there to start that one. Just wanted to show you excuse me, one of our winter wheats that was planted in decent time, mid-October, after spring beans. You can just see how much better it is for blackgrass. A lot thicker crop. Just see, these are the ears of wheat coming out. This is a variety called Gleam. First time we've grown it, but a bit of an older variety. Looks like Nala's got a lump of soil in her mouth. Little Frankie coming in. Yeah, really good this is. No blackgrass. Now there was a patch here a few years ago. There was a patch between these two tram lines and had to round up it off to stop it seeding. Not very big, probably 3 or 4 sizes of tennis court, or the size of 3 or 4 tennis courts. And I round up it off about 5 years. It kept coming and coming and coming. And now look, not a blade of blackgrass anywhere. You look above the top of the crop and it's just clean. So it shows you can get rid of it. Nala, are you annoying Frankie? Is she annoying you, Frankie? Dear oh dear. If you watch my videos regularly, remember I sprayed across some fields with the Polaris last week. Spray the footpath out, got public footpath across here that goes to that church in the distance across when it gets to the main road, and that's the effect of it. You can just see on the left hand side we've got a lovely clean line on the right, but on the left a slight bit of drift, so that just shows you don't want hardly any wind at all, and that's across this field that you've just seen Ruben spraying. Across the beans as well, just taking a little bit longer to work on the beans, and you can just see in the distance that church spire. That's because this footpath, before cars were invented, all footpaths used to go from church to church, because people used to go to church a lot more then and used to walk from village to village. So that's why footpaths are across the middle of fields all over the UK today. And if you're listening and looking at this from another country, quite idiotic really, but these footpaths are hundreds of years old and we still have to maintain them, and if we don't keep them open and spray crops out, if we obstruct them as it's called by keeping a crop growing through them, we can be prosecuted. So that's just another idiotic not Lincolnshire, UK law from hundreds of years ago. So I hope you enjoyed that update. Thank you very much for watching. Please do keep an eye on Olly and the Combine Challenge and where they're going. I've put 1 or 2 links in the description of this video to keep a trace of them. So thanks very much for that. And all being well, we'll see you midweek.